that purple Sprite. I be on that purple Sprite. You know that drink got me right. I be stacking that green. I be drinking that lean. And we like the floss. All my diamonds gloss. I represent the dirty, dirty way we bow.
I just gotta be me.
You want beef, I'ma handle my biz, cause I'm a rider. It is what it is.
Money in the bank, so I bout like that. Got 20s on my crowd like that. Hit them out like that, we bout like that.
Game over.
Greased up, I'm pieced up while I swang on that meter. I'm customized, I bubblize, I pop trunk on the feeder.
Wesley Eric Weston Jr., aka Lil Flip, was born in Houston, Texas in March of 1981. He grew up in Cloverland, which is a neighborhood located on the south side of Houston. Music is something that runs in Flip's family. His mother was a choir director, his relatives were singers, and he learned how to play instruments like drums and the piano at an early age. Flip started rapping very early on, with him starting to rap battle as far back as elementary school. When he was coming up battle rapping in Texas, things were a lot different than on the East Coast. For example, people battling on the East Coast largely wrote their rhymes, while down south they freestyled. Flip won a lot of battles with his impressive ability to freestyle, with the Freestyle King being one of his many nicknames. This was a nickname that was bestowed upon him, and it was stamped by the legendary DJ Screw. By the time that Lil Flip got to middle school, he was already bumping shoulders with legends in the Texas rap scene. In an interview with Vlad TV in 2016, he detailed going on tour with the legendary rap group UGK at the age of 12. Very wild to think about how an adolescent was allowed to go on tour with rappers, go to events like Freaknik, and be able to sneak into clubs. These were all things that Flip did during these years. He was very young, hanging out with people twice and 3 times his age. He wasn't just merely hanging out though, because he was also soaking up game from the rappers in the Texas rap scene in the early to mid 90s. One of the first crews that Flip started linking up with was the Botany Boys. Flip says that he looked up to them due to them being from the same neighborhood. Flip was never an official member, but they schooled him up on a lot of different things. A group that Flip did eventually become a member of was the Screwed Up Clique. The Screwed Up Clique is a rap group based in Houston that was once led by the legendary DJ Screw, who passed away in 2000. Lil Flip raps about how he met DJ Screw on his song R.I.P. Screw from his 2002 album Underground Legend.
I met Screw in 9-4 with a Fat Pat show. Back when Club Unique used to be Stadium Bowl, I walked up.
In the song, Flip details that he formerly met DJ Screw in 1994 at a Fat Pat show. Also, big rest in peace to the legendary Fat Pat. Flip meeting Screw in 1994 means that he was around the age of 13. He handed him a cassette tape and proceeded to freestyle for him, thinking that it was his only chance to get put on. At the time, Lil Flip was doing mixtapes with his friend Jason, and the two were very excited when DJ Screw wrote his number down and told him that he was going to hit him up the following week. Time went by and Jason ended up passing away. A couple months after this, a cousin of Lil Flip's also passed away. This made him really sit down and reflect on his goals and aspirations. Years later, Lil Flip garnered a lot of attention when he featured on the songs Diamonds in Your Face and By the House. These songs caught the attention of DJ Screw, with him being very impressed with Flip's rapping ability.
Diamonds twinkle like a star. Sipping drink, we call it bar. Blue, black, and red, don't touch my car. Clover cheese is what we are.
Lil Flip was an upperclassman in high school when Diamonds in Your Face was released. Shortly after hearing these songs, DJ Screw invited Lil Flip back to his house, where they started making music, and he eventually became the youngest member of the Screwed Up Clique. In an interview with DJ Vlad, Flip said that he ended up doing 3 DJ Screw tapes but doesn't know what happened to one of them. But in 1999, Lil Flip released an album with S.U.C, which stands for Hustler Stacking Ends. Before Hustler Stacking Ends, Flip was in a few other rap groups, but things did not really pan out. S.U.C started all the way back when Lil Flip was in middle school. In an interview with Bootleg Kev, Flip said that when the Hustler Stacking Ends album came out, fans told him that they wanted a solo album from him instead. They questioned why he wanted to put the group out when he was the hottest thing out in the streets. In reply, Flip says that he's one of those people who always tries to bring people with him. He says that their album did okay, but having multiple people in the group meant that the money had to be split multiple ways. With Flip being the star of the group, the money that he was making was not justifying him being in the group anymore. However, he did not want to turn his back on his friends, so he still looked out for them when he went on to being a solo act. The very next year, in July of 2000, Flip released his first independent album, The Leprechaun. This was a double album. According to Lil Flip, he wrote half of this album while freestyling the other half while he was in the trap. The name of this album pays tribute to the neighborhood that he grew up in, as I previously mentioned. Lil Flip got a lot of flack for this album, specifically because of the cover art due to him wearing the whole leprechaun getup. Those who did not understand why he was in the suit or why he titled his first album that were not privy to the reasoning behind it. For one, I represent where I'm from. At the time, if there was another artist stating a neighborhood or there was a box of cereal or anything that was a symbol of their neighborhood, I'm sure that artist would throw it up. At the end of the day, you want people to look at your stuff on the shelf and want to buy it. Shoot, I was 17 or 18 when that album dropped, and I was in high school. I'm actually proud of it because if you listen to the whole album, I talk about different subject matter even at the young age that I was. Despite what people thought of the cover art, the album sold tremendously well. Hundreds of thousands of copies were sold independently. A lot of notable songs are on this album. Gotta Be Me, Southside Still Holdin', I Can Do That, and I Got Flow are some examples. My favorite song from this project though is by far the Freestyle King.
We blow endo, I might be on Jay Leno. They be like, Flip, can you listen to my demo?
The Leprechaun was released under Sucker Free Records, which was founded by a man known as Hump. The Hustler Stacking Ends album was also released under this label. According to Lil Flip, he first linked with Hump when he was in high school, back when the company was Sucker Free Entertainment instead of Sucker Free Records. He says that there were artists associated with Sucker Free that weren't really popping, but Flip came up with the idea to officially turn it into a record label and model it after Cash Money Records with Birdman and Slim. Before this, Lil Flip had Clover G Records, but never got an LLC for it. Years later though, Lil Flip and Hump fell out over Flip feeling like he should have been making more money. The story is kinda deeper than that though, especially if you've ever seen Hump's interview about the situation, but I digress. Unfortunately, right as Lil Flip's popularity in the underground scene started to rise, DJ Screw sadly passed away just 3 months after the release of the Leprechaun album. This not only hurt Lil Flip and the Houston rap scene, but the underground scene as a whole. The impact and influence that Screw had and still does to this day is immense. As they say, life goes on, and Flip still continued on with his dream while honoring Screw every step of the way. By 2001, he released 8 installments in his Underground Volume series, the legendary series of tapes from Lil Flip, with the 8th one being Three-Headed Monster with Lil Ron and Big T.
So recognize, gotta get your fast money. I'm trying to bling bling, but I'm not cash money.
Lil Flip has a lot of projects. He has over 80 of them, which includes mixtapes, collab albums, studio albums, etc. Another person who has a lot of projects that I covered in the past is Currency. He's very close to having 100 projects. Just like I did with his video, I'm not going to talk about every single project. That would get extremely boring, and I really want to keep this train moving. But once again, disaster for Lil Flip would strike. Things took a dark turn at the beginning of 2002 when Lil Flip was returning home from a recording studio. Unexpectedly, a gold car pulled up along him and fired shots into his rent-a-car. Flip was struck by the shots and was rushed to the hospital. He obviously lived on and proceeded to explode into the mainstream, but there is a possibility that he could have died that day. Would have been tragic because he had just signed with Loud and Sony Records. After recovering from his injuries, Lil Flip released the album Underground Legend in August of 2002. It peaked at number 12 on the Billboard 200, selling 70,000 copies in its first week. By December of that year, the album went platinum. As I said, Underground Legend was released through Loud and Columbia Records, who Flip now had a distribution deal with. There was a bidding war over Lil Flip, but he ultimately went to Columbia because he reportedly had a $22 million deal. The title of the album, Underground Legend, is significant because before Lil Flip got a deal with Columbia, he already had sold hundreds of thousands of records independently. This was the case for a lot of people, especially in Texas, before they made it big. My favorite track from the Underground Legend album has to be The Way We Ball.
And we like the flouse, all my diamonds glouse. I represent the dirty way we ball.
You See It, What I've Been Through, and Get Crunk are some other songs that I really mess with off of this album.
I got 20-inch spinners on my drive, nothing but white and yellow rocks in my watch.
In 2003, Flip released the second installment of the Freestyle Kings and featured on numerous songs. Most notably, he featured on the David Banner song, Like a Pimp.
By the time I hit the door, I saw on the floor, dressed in suits, tricking all laid dough.
About the song, Flip said that he knew David Banner way before they made the song Like a Pimp. He claims that he met David Banner as far back as 1996. Banner was in a rough time in his life when he made the song. He was in fact homeless. This song propelled his career as an artist and is one of my favorite songs that Lil Flip has featured on. Like a Pimp peaked at number 48 on the Billboard Hot 100. Aside from Like a Pimp, Lil Flip also featured on the Young One song Tear It Up and the 3 6 Mafia song Riding Spinners. At the beginning of 2004, in February, Lil Flip released the song Game Over. This was the lead single to his third album, You Gotta Feel Me. Game Over peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went platinum in 2006. At first, Lil Flip did not want to do the record. The reason is because in 2000, Beanie Sigel released the song Mac Man on his album The Truth. Slim Thug and ESG also had a record called This Is For My. Both of these records used a Pac-Man sample. Lil Flip was not interested in Game Over because he felt rapping over a Pac-Man sampled beat was too fresh. Beanie Sigel did it a couple years before him, and locally it had already been done by ESG and Slim Thug. Eventually, Lil Flip was asked what would it take for him to rap over the beat for Game Over, and he requested $10,000. He got his $10,000, but even after receiving the record, he tried to low-key sabotage it by cursing a lot on the first 4 bars. This clearly did not work, and despite Flip initially not wanting to do the record, it ended up becoming one of his biggest hits. Fun fact though, Lil Flip got sued over the song. Namco, a Japanese company that owns the rights to Pac-Man, sued Lil Flip for $10 million due to sampling sounds from Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man without permission. The company stated that they objected to gun references, drugs, and the profanity that was used in the record. Ultimately, in 2005, the lawsuit was settled. The month after Game Over was released as a single, the album You Gotta Feel Me was released. It released in March of 2004. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling 1,000 copies in its first week. It remains Lil Flip's highest charting album to date. As of August of 2004, the album is platinum. The second single to be released from the album was Sunshine. This song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went gold in 2005.
I treat you like milk, I'll do nothing but spoil you.
Sunshine was another record that the label pretty much gave to Lil Flip on a silver platter. Previous to this, he was used to picking every record for a single, so he was not all the way against doing the record, but he was a little apprehensive about it. Being unsure, Lil Flip played Sunshine for the women in his family, and they loved the song. They told Lil Flip to rap over it, which he eventually did, and it became the biggest hit of his career. Lil Flip also got a big look this year when he featured on the remix to Beyonce's hit song Naughty Girl. While Lil Flip was having a pretty good 2004, there was something that happened this year that arguably became the biggest thing in his career, and that was Flip's beef with T.I. It's just something that has become synonymous when telling his story. The story from both sides goes that they first met each other in 2004 at a photo shoot for the Source magazine. Before the photo shoot, Nick Fury Lofton, the producer for Game Over, went to T.I. and asked him to jump on the remix to the song. T.I. agreed to do the song, but Flip ended up telling him that there would be multiple remixes to Game Over, so he did not give T.I. a definitive answer. Then during the actual photo shoot for the magazine, the two tried to stunt on each other with their chains. If one had on a chain, the other would tell their people to bring them some more to outshine the other. Really petty stuff. After this, T.I. got locked up, so they had to redo the cover without them. This is said to have made T.I. jealous of Flip due to Flip being the only representative of the South on the cover. Essentially, this beef was petty and was the result of miscommunication. You can also say false information as well. There was a story going around that while T.I. was locked up, Lil Flip was talking to some girls about how he was the king of the South and was talking down on T.I. One of the girls knew T.I. and this information got back to him. Lil Flip denies that he ever disrespected T.I. This then led to T.I. getting out of jail and dissing Flip on stage at the 2004 birthday bash. He clowned Lil Flip for his leprechaun outfit on his debut album and encouraged him to come to the stage. This never happened because the show got shut down. After this, Flip and T.I. exchanged numerous diss tracks.
First of all, I'm a Clover G veteran, and y'all already know who I'm better than. Y'all know T.I. can't fuck with me. You a featherweight, you don't even weigh $150. Nigga, you lucky my plane got delayed, cause I would've knocked your punk ass off the stage. You a 7-time felon, what you care about a case? Yeah, you got out of jail early cause you working with the state snitch.
The title of being King of the South was a point of contention in the feud. Being from Houston, Flip believed that Scarface was the true King of the South. On his 2003 album Trap Music, T.I. crowned himself the King of the South after talking to multiple Southern rap legends. The ultimate low blow occurred when T.I. released his Down with the King Gangsta Grillz mixtape. On this mixtape, T.I. played a phone conversation with Scarface about Lil Flip and the King of the South moniker.
That nigga say he from your hood.
Nah. You know, like, I ain't never seen that nigga over there, man. I swear, man. And you know when I started seeing old dude, man, he was rhyming, but before then, man, like all them other little niggas that claim Cloverland, man, straight up. C note out of Cloverland, you know, Dirty Red out of Cloverland, man, but I ain't never seen this nigga before, man.
The nigga hiding behind you like he trying to put you against me, saying, yeah, man, you know, Scarface the King of the South, you had me, like the nigga copping deuces.
You can't put me in that shit, bro. You know what I mean? Nigga can't hide behind me to do a motherfucking thing. Niggas know what I am. That shit petty to me, homie. You ain't never ever heard me say it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be no king of nothing. Feel me? Nigga, you can have that shit.
Scarface saying that he had never really seen Lil Flip around Cloverland and telling T.I. that he could have the King of the South title threw a lot of people off. A lot of people from Houston went against Lil Flip during this feud. In the video I showed earlier of T.I. talking about his feud with Lil Flip, there's a rapper named Lil Third from the Botany Boys in Houston that talked down on Lil Flip as well. As I mentioned earlier, the Botany Boys was the crew that Lil Flip first started rolling with. But the situation with Scarface runs a little deeper. In 2020, Flip talked about how Scarface wanted to sign him to Def Jam South while he was the head of the label. Lil Flip wanted to sign to the label, but the money was not right, so he went elsewhere. This could have possibly led to some resentment from Scarface, with Lil Flip not signing to the label to go on to do what he did. Some people blame Lil Flip's success as to why people from Houston weren't really backing him during this time. It was out of jealousy. The feud between Lil Flip and T.I. did get physical, with T.I. coming to Cloverland to pull in "I'm in your hood" stunt. There are multiple stories about this incident, but both sides result in T.I. getting punched and a gunshot in the air broke everything up. It took 4J Prince, the CEO of Rap Aloud Records and a very respected figure, especially in the South, to sit down Lil Flip and T.I. to squash their beef. Some believe that this beef with T.I. really hurt Lil Flip's career because his popularity noticeably declined after it was squashed. Lil Flip disagrees with this and says that the road to the release of his fourth album was a tough one. He was originally set to release his fourth album in 2005, but it got leaked. This happened to be during the process of when Lil Flip was leaving Sony to go with Warner Brothers. Due to the leak, Lil Flip had to record new material and his fourth album would not release until 2007. It released a couple days shy of being 3 years since his last album. Throughout 2005 and 2006, Flip released almost 20 projects, including mixtapes, EPs, collab projects, etc. So fans of Lil Flip were definitely getting fed during the wait for his next album. In 2005, he even featured on the Chamillionaire song Turn It Up. This song peaked at number 41 on the Billboard Hot 100. Also in 2005, the first single for the aforementioned fourth album of Lil Flip was released. The first single was What It Do, which was produced by Manny Fresh. Ultimately, this song failed to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. The same thing goes for the second single, Ghetto Mind State, Can't Get Away. That failed to chart as well and was released in 2007, 2 years after the first single was released. Finally, in March of 2007, Flip released his fourth album, I Need Mine. This album peaked at number 15 on the Billboard 200, selling 43,000 copies in its first week, a 155,000 copy decrease compared to the height of his career with You Gotta Feel Me. To be fair, there was a sharp decline in the popularity of the Houston artists in Flip's class. Mike Jones, Chamillionaire, and Paul Wall all declined in popularity by 2008-2009. Lil Flip spoke out about this in 2022 in an interview. He said that bad business, lack of hustle, arrest, promoters paying out-of-towners more, etc. being the reason why this happened. One thing that he did not mention was the beefing and infighting amongst Houston artists that led to their downfall as well. Though I Need Mine ended up being the last album that Flip ever released, he has never stopped dropping music. Like I said at the beginning of the video, he has a ton of projects, too many to go through and talk about individually. He still drops music to this day, but after his last album, Flip got into ventures outside of music. In 2014, he wrote a book titled Don't Let the Music Industry Fool You. Now he has ownership in exotic pop, with him having his own flavors. If anyone has tried this, let me know how it tastes in the comments. Speaking of snacks though, Lil Flip also has the Lil Flip Clover G snacks with Texas corn. He has so many different things under his belt though. He has his record label Clover G Records, has deals with jewelry stores, has done real estate, manages fighters, etc. He truly does it all.
Posted up in the back of the party, girl, cause I don't want a good girl, I want a naughty girl. I like your style and your body, girl.
Lil Flip leaves behind a very solid legacy in the rap game on a mainstream level and in the underground, especially in Houston and all around Texas. It's well known that the rap fans in Texas hold their very own rappers in high regard. A lot of rappers were millionaires in Texas in the underground before they even got a major deal. They were hustlers when it came to music and how dedicated their fans were. Someone like Lil Flip has been around for years. He had been running around with the Screwed Up Clique since a teenager and dropped his first album when he was still in high school. His freestyle abilities are uncanny, and it's a shame that his shine in the mainstream did not last longer. It's cold-blooded how Houston did Lil Flip during the beef, siding with out-of-towners over their very own. Flip was really putting on for the city, going platinum in 2002 before Mike Jones, Chamillionaire, and Paul Wall was even big in the mainstream. Of course, there were people in Houston that went platinum before Lil Flip, but I am specifically talking about the people around Lil Flip's age bracket and class. One thing that I commend Lil Flip for doing is that he never stopped dropping music and successfully ventured into other businesses outside of music. A true hustler. This is a video that I've wanted to do ever since I made my recent one about Mike Jones. Let me know in the comments who you think I should cover next. All in all, let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comment section below. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.